So there's this YouTube channel called Large Man Abroad that recently posted a video called How I Found in Other Countries What We Lost in America. And I felt like this video would be a very interesting one to watch. So let's see what we got here.
Years ago, I left America to find something more than this country could offer me. And it was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made. I don't regret my time in another country because in all honesty, it was fantastic. Even the bad days were better than some of the best days I've had in America. And the first time I left America was right after I got out of the military. I just wanted to travel a bit because travel within the military is not so much fun. So to get out there and actually enjoy life and live my life according to me, it's just something that was very appealing to me. It is something, I don't know, as a man, I felt like I had to do. I just had to get out there and live. You know, I didn't allow myself to live for a long time, whether that was responsibility that I had within my family to take care of people, or just like a great feeling of shame that I had if I were to leave the country and leave people behind, people who counted on me. There came a time in my life where I had to make the choice. Do I want to stay or do I want to go? And I chose to leave. And I don't regret that. And for anyone who's actually made the move outside the United States, I think most of them will tell you that there really isn't much to regret.
For me, there was this feeling of freedom when I was abroad because of the fact that I was in another country where basically nobody knew who I was. I didn't speak the language. In a way, it was very freeing for me because I knew that nobody would have any expectations of me there. Nobody would know me. And it almost made me feel like it was easier to just be myself. So I can say there is something, at least for me, that was very freeing about living abroad for the time that I was living abroad.
And it wasn't really until I left America and started living long-term in these foreign places, these places that are supposed to be bad, these places that are supposed to be third world, that I realized that people from the third world often live more fulfilling lives than we ever will in America. There's a sense of gratitude in every daily action, every daily meal, every prayer, every moment that they get to spend with family because it actually means something to them still in their cultures. You realize that there's something that we have lost. And I don't know if we ever actually had it. Because the truth is, I can't remember when America was a great place. I just remember the idea that was told to me. I remember what...
I have a lot of friends from countries abroad, and I would have to agree with his point that the people that I know at least seem to be very, very fulfilled, very happy, and in some ways, I would say better off. Because the pace of life in these countries are a bit slower. There's less pressure to make money. Things are less expensive. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying those countries are perfect either, but there is a slower pace of life. There is a difference that I think exists in some of these countries that are considered second and third world, which in some ways makes them, in a way, a happier place to live.
There's something incredibly freeing about going to another country and leaving everything behind. Truly being on your own in a way that you make your own self. The reputation that you have is fresh, it's new. And it's the decisions and the actions that you make in these new places that determine how people are going to treat you, how they're going to look at you. The baggage that you've carried around your whole life, whether fair or unfair, isn't there anymore. It is a fresh start. And I think in many ways, that's what people like. People yearn for a fresh start. And what better thing can there be than to have a fresh start in a new world? And people aren't as fickle as they are in America. They're not as changeable, usually because they have some kind of moral anchoring that comes from being raised in tight-knit families that we don't have in America, not anymore. It seems to me that the connections that people make in other countries are meant to be strengthened over time. It's not what's best for me now or what I can get out of it. There's something about American mentality that's opportunistic in nature, and I resent it. Because I'm somebody who was raised without, I resent that level of selfishness. And I know that I'm a hypocrite because I'm still sometimes a very selfish person. But being outside of America long enough allows you to break down these negative aspects of yourself. Because you see yourself and your own actions through the reflection of other people. But the older I get, the more I realize that in America, that sentiment isn't really shared. People don't want to be part of a community. And people look at each other in a great distrust.
I think it's pretty well known that the culture here in the United States is very, very much individualistic. And I think social media has caused us to isolate ourselves a lot. And I think that deep down there's this craving for community that so many people have, this longing to find a like-minded community of people that you could really connect with. So while I think he's absolutely right about the fact that the culture here in America has influenced so many of us to become kind of isolated and about ourselves, I still think that a lot of us deep down really do want community and definitely need community because it's such an important part of feeling connected and being happy. And something that I did notice personally when I went to Ukraine and when I went to Poland, and I realized that this may just be because of the people that I associated with in these two countries. What I did notice, like my friends from Ukraine, they seem to really look out for each other. And my friends from Poland, the same thing. They really look out for each other. They may not agree on everything. They may not get along all the time, but I did get this sense that they really were a community and they really did care about each other. I do feel like this could be a value that is becoming a little bit lost here in the United States.
Serves no benefit for anyone to live in distrust and paranoia. So imagine leaving that behind and landing in a place where you don't speak the language, where no one knows you, where you see children running and playing even in cities, where you see people opening the door and helping old people out. You see people get together outside of cafes and socialize and actually talk about each other's lives because people actually have lives. It's more than just chasing a lifestyle of comfortability from a new culture founded in consumerism. There's something old to it. There's something very human to it. So I say in America, we've had our humanity stolen from us because our culture has been so corrupted.
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think America has become a business. It's almost like a corporation. I think the pace of life here and the pressure to make money, and like he said, consumerism, I think all those things have hurt a lot of people. And it's caused a lot of us to get stuck in the rat race. And I think that's part of the reason why so many of us are unhappy here in the United States.
If I have any advice for anyone who's thinking about leaving the country, it's to do it. If you have a savings to go for an extended period of time, go. It doesn't have to be years. It can be months, and it can change your life. It can change what you expect of yourself and what you expect from your community and your country. When you actually put your foot in the soil, when you actually dive into a foreign culture, even if it's for a short period of time, it will change you. Does travel change you? Does it make you a better person? Yes, it does. And this isn't a statement of arrogance. This isn't a statement of pride. It literally changes you. It will open up a new perspective to you that you were not aware of, and you'll never regret it. Is it always easy? No. Is everywhere a paradise? Of course not. Everywhere you go, there's people struggling to different degrees. In America, there's a lot of people struggling. In the Philippines, there's a lot of people struggling. In Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in Eastern Europe, all throughout Africa, in the Middle East and in Asia, and in South America, there's always people struggling. But one of the things in traveling and seeing the struggle of other people, you will gain such an appreciation of the privileges that you have, the benefits from being from your country that you have, even if now those benefits seem few and far between.
I would say that it's still a really, really great privilege to be an American citizen. It's a privilege to have an American passport. However, I'm of the opinion that if your primary focus is making money, especially if you're a really good businessman or businesswoman, you're an entrepreneur, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity here in the United States for those types of things, in my opinion. Other than that, I think that it does make more sense to try living somewhere else because the opportunities, the future that lies ahead for some of us is much brighter living somewhere else. Unless you're already established in a career, you already own a home, or you've already been working for some company for a long time and you've got your retirement and you're well established here.
Here, people want to get as far away from people as they can. The dream in America is to what?
Leave.
To get a house in the middle of nowhere where you don't have to see anybody? To live apart from instead of a part of? This goes against human nature. We're not solitude creatures. We're social creatures. And when we're not being social, when we don't have a social life, when we don't have people that we love that we can share with, people that we can talk out our problems with, people that we can lean on when we struggle, we suffer greatly. There's a reason why mental illness in America is the way that it is right now. There's a reason why mental illness are at the rates are the highest rates that they've ever been in this country, it's not because of overdiagnosis, it's because of a great cancer within our society. And the greatest symptom of that cancer is a deep hopelessness and grinding depression that forces people away from society and makes them want to move into the middle of nowhere. That's not normal. And it's easy to come to that realization when you're abroad. And when you come back to America and you realize it's just not here, you understand why people have that feeling. But I say the answer isn't to escape the world, it's to find a better part of it. Go and explore, even if it's for a short period of time. And you'll never regret it. And let it change you. And let yourself become a better person. Let yourself release the baggage of America. Let yourself release the baggage that this country has put on you. And actually learn who you are. And learn where you fit in this world.
He's absolutely right about the fact that travel will change you and change your perspective. When I traveled to Ukraine and Poland, just going to this foreign place where nobody knew me, where I didn't know the language, and kind of forcing myself, obviously I had a plan and I had some money stocked up, but still, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to work out. And just being in that situation definitely allowed me to experience a different version of myself that just doesn't come out when I'm in the same environment, the same familiar environment that I grew up in. Not that I'm not grateful for the environment that I grew up in, but there's a part of myself that was unlocked by going off to a faraway land and exploring. So he's absolutely right. I think it's incredibly powerful to go and travel and experience other cultures. And then if it's possible to perhaps stay living in another country or culture for as long as you want, because you just might find the life you've always wanted.